You know, there is one thing amongst the One Piece community that we've gotten very comfortable doing lately that kind of has been getting to me a little bit, and that's when we refer to people like Rocks, Harold, etc. as the king of the pirates of their era. Let's stop doing that, because in actuality, that's a word that Mihawk fans love to use a lot. In actuality, there is one king of the pirates in history as far as we know, and that is Gold D. Roger. There will be another one, Monkey D. Luffy. But as it stands, there's just one, okay? Now, I can't pretend I don't understand where this sentiment comes from, but I think saying this so casually ruins or at least misinterprets the true meaning of what it is to be the king of the pirates, right? Because if it was just about who is the strongest force on the sea, let me hold that thought. We're gonna get to that later on in the video. Anyway, welcome back to Pirate Hunter Crow. I know. The videos have not been as common as we would like, as I would like at least. Maybe y'all don't care. I'm sure y'all do. I'm sure somebody out there loves me. But don't worry, I'm a football coach. My season is over now. I won't say what our record was, but it was a little embarrassing. And now I'm on to more free time, so that means much more videos. Part of my get up, I just got done riding my four-wheeler. I am a country boy at heart, just like Luffy. And I came straight back and said, look, it's been like a month since my last video. I got to record. All right. So let's hop into this. Like I said, I cannot pretend to not understand where these sentiments come from, especially in this God Valley flashback where it seems, I got to show off my hairline, where Rocks has absolutely captivated the audience, right? We expected Rocks to be a slime ball, very similar to Blackbeard, somebody who probably would be a very good villain, but never this. And in that same vein, Roger has kind of just been in the way. I won't say in the way, but he's kind of been a little disappointing from what we've seen, because he seems just to be very childish right now. His focuses have been on ladies and just out here having fun, which, I mean, in reality, he's just pirating, right? He's definitely just pirating. But, you know, from what we've gathered from Roger, this wise guy who knows so much about the world and conquered everything and became the king, what we've seen in this flashback hasn't matched that. And I don't think that's wrong to acknowledge. However, the issue is when we feel like we gotta slander Roger because of how dope Rocks has been. Look, dog, I was talking to a friend about this, and if you really think about it, like, dog, we don't know nothing about Roger, right? We don't have a Roger flashback. We know his crewmates, but Roger himself is still more of a mystery than I would say even Rocks at this point. So, like, why Roger went to see his motivations, what drove him to want to find the One Piece, which we'll probably get at some point in this God Valley flashback. But we know that Roger wanted to circumnavigate the entire world before God Valley happened, because he already did it, right? If I'm not mistaken, I got to look at the One Piece timeline, but I'm pretty sure Roger already made it to Lodestar a year before God Valley. I could be wrong. Maybe that was before he picked up Odin. But regardless, all right. Anyway, the Roger slander has to stop. All right, we're seeing a very young Roger out here on the seas, having fun, paddling it up, chasing ladies. Look, we all been young before, right? We all chased well, I'm talking to One Piece fans. I don't know. We've all, at least a lot of us, have chased ladies in the past. Maybe I wasn't trying to kidnap them like Roger was, but seeing such a focused narrative from Rocks and then swapping over to Roger and just seeing him having a filler arc basically has understandably led to some people like, dang, Roger, like, get out of the way. You in the way, basically. I get it, but let's relax. Let's not cut off our nose to save our face. Is that how the phrase go? Let's not lose the trees in the... I can't remember no phrases right now. I really can't, but you understand where I'm coming from. We're losing sight of the end goal. And the end goal is the king of the pirates, Gold D. Roger. Now, earlier I alluded to there being a very specific reason why I personally just can't consider Rocks and Harold to be the king of the pirates, right? During their era, at least. And, well, first and foremost, the biggest reason is if Oda wanted these guys to be called the king of the pirates during their era, he would have called them the king of the pirates. There's a very specific reason why this has only been used for Roger, because in the same vein that, oh, well, Roger was just the greatest pirate during his era, Oda didn't have to call him the king of the pirates, but After Roger achieved his dream of finding the One Piece, he was named the King of the Pirates. And Rox and Harrow, for as much as they accomplished and as strong as they were never given this title by Oda. Now, the easy thing that I see you typing right now, stop, is that, well, Big News Morgans wasn't around and that's where Roger got his title from. Listen, Big News Morgans gave Roger his title from Oda. Okay, if Oda wanted to call blank the King of the Pirates during the era, he would have done it. There was no Morgans needed. The narrator came on screen and told us twice this was Harrow's era. This was Rox. Well, I know he said Rox, Roger, and Garp. I think there was also one where he said it was just Rox's era, but I could be misremembering. But regardless, it's very easy in that regard, in that very same moment, to say they were the king of the pirates during their era. But he didn't. Why didn't he? I think freedom is the answer. From what we've seen, right, when Luffy is talking to Rayleigh about conquering the seas, and well, Rayleigh alludes that Luffy wants to conquer the seas, and Luffy says, I don't want to conquer nothing, I just want to be the freest man. I think freedom is the answer to being the king of the pirates. And neither one of those guys ever achieved the freedom that Roger did. Roger, through finding the One Piece and finding out the true history of the world, achieved a level of piracy and freedom that has been unmatched probably since Joy Boy. But let's look at Rox and Harold, right? Harold went out to sea originally just dicking around, just being an asshole, right? And after that, he finds purpose. And his purpose is making the Giants a member of the world government. And Rox became a slave to this purpose. If we're just being honest, Rox was willing to, Harold was willing to betray his best friend, or at least somebody who came off to be a very good friend to him, in order to achieve this. Now, did he go through with it? No. But the fact that he initially accepted it was a huge glaring red flag for me, because I had a lot of, I looked at I keep getting their names mixed up. I looked at Harold with a lot of respect at one point, but there's no way you was even considering taking this deal from the world government, dog. Come on, bro. It's not that. If the organization you're trying to join is asking you to murder somebody to join it, it might not be the organization for you, buddy. I'm just saying. Anyway, now let's get to Rox. Rox, once again, the most powerful crew on the seas, probably the strongest man alive at that point. But Rox was a slave to his ambition. Rox wanted to become the king of the world. He spent his time putting his pieces together, biding and gathering what he thought was necessary in order to topple Emu. Was he damn cool while on the way to doing it? Yes. Did he build the coolest crew ever? Probably, yes. Did he accomplish his dream? No. So he never made it to that level of freedom that Roger did. And I'm gonna use an excerpt or whatever from a data book of old. This could be very fake. I think it's real, but it could be fake, because you know how these folks get in the One Piece community. I've been seeing this floating around for some years now, and I've never heard anyone actually say it was fake. So hey, it could be. But the excerpt was referring to Shanks, and it was like, well, Shanks, to be the king of the pirates is to be the freest man on the seas. Shanks is the closest to this position, or he is the freest man currently on the seas, whatever it was. So he's the closest to being the king of the pirates. Right now, I'm gonna put it on screen. Could it be fake? Yes. Is it? I hope it's not, because then it kind of just cooked a part of my argument, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. That falls 1000% in line with my idea of freedom capturing the importance and the true stature of what it means to be the king. Being a slave to your own ambition, yeah, you look free. You look like you running shit. But at the end of the day, a slave to their own ambition is still a slave, right? And you're being a slave to your own ambition can drive you to ruin. And I think that's what we've seen with Harold and what we're gonna see with Rock. And I also want to talk about this idea that just because Blank was the strongest on the seas, that made them the king of the pirates at that time. Like, when Roger died, there was a very clear and obvious to the entire world number 2 on the seas. They even called Whitebeard the closest man to the throne, but they never called him the king of the pirates. because he was not the king of the pirates, just because he was the strongest pirate on the seas. And now, once again, I know the argument. Well, the concept of the One Piece didn't exist, so Whitebeard couldn't just be called the king of the pirates because of that. Cool. Guess what? It doesn't matter. The universally accepted strongest man did not get the title of king of the pirates from the current king dying just because he was the best pirate or the greatest pirate during that era, because that acknowledges the point that there's much more to it. Like Sam, because he didn't find the One Piece, he couldn't become the king of the pirates, leads to the point that, yeah, you have to be more than just the strongest man to be the king of the pirates. Exactly. Power scaling in the One Piece community is always like two extreme sides. There's one side that acts like power scaling doesn't matter, which is extremely wrong. And then there's another side that acts like power scaling is the end all be all of most conversations. And both of them are wrong. If you ask me, I think that power is like, it's very important to things like this, because while I'm saying that being the strongest man doesn't matter and it's about who's the freest on the seas, in order to become that, you probably have to be the strongest man on the seas. Yes, Whitebeard had the title of the world's strongest man. I don't give a fuck. Okay, I'm keeping it real with you. Roger, in my eyes, they're equals, right? I feel like it's been stated that they were equals. But if you ask me, if it comes down to it, Roger versus Whitebeard, I'm taking Roger. I'm sorry. Fight me. Anyway, if we're looking at the strength of Rox and Roger, right? I would say that right now at God Valley, Rox seems to be portrayed to be the strongest on the seas, with Garp and Roger close, but no cigar. I think that Rox is probably also a little bit older than those guys, but he's definitely in his prime, and he's the strongest guy that's at God Valley. If Rox was a 10, I would say that Garp and Roger were probably like 8.5 or 8. 8.5, I think is fair. 9, I wouldn't be mad at 9, but just, you know, in that range where there's a clear gap who's stronger, but it's still a very good fight, and the other guy could win a few of their clashes. But with that being said, Rox died at God Valley. Roger didn't. Roger kept going. He conquered the seas. He traveled the world again. He clashed with other Yonkos. He found the 4 poneglyphs. He took Odin. Hockey blooms through combat. We know this. Yeah, he got sick, and I think that's a factor, but I think his sickness mainly affected him in his very, very later years. But Roger had a lot more time on the seas to grow and surpass Rox. Now, if you want to say he only did that because Rox died, tough shit. That's not Roger's fault. Rox shouldn't have died. I mean, I know it's easy to say, well, he shouldn't have died. Well, he died. That's not fucking Roger's fault. So that's my problem. Like, we just can't, it's not fair. Like, even to say Rox has the greatest feats we've seen right now, probably from any single character. He killed an admiral, assuming admirals back then were as strong as they are now, or at least in that ballpark, which I think is a fair assumption. He's basically low diff Garland. And from what we've seen, nobody else can compare, but from what we've also seen from a portrayal lens, Roger isn't far behind right now. And this is a pre-prime Roger. And he lives for what, 20 more years maybe? Or is it whatever it is, 15 to 20 more years? It's not close. Like, if we talk about strength, Roger surpasses Rox in strength. And at some point, it's probably not close. Honestly, he could have surpassed him at God Valley. I mean, he clearly did because Rox died. But if we're talking about the level of strength that Rox made it to while alive, and Roger being like right here, during this God Valley incident, he very well could have caught up to Rox or even surpassed him this night alone. But like, let's look at the rest of the time he spent on the seas. We don't think Roger was stronger than Rox. Like, let's be realistic, bro. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. This is somebody that already traversed the whole world already, by the way. Hashtag by the way. Anyway, I think that's kind of close to all I got. This might be a shorter video. I'll see when I edit it, probably around 10-ish minutes. But man, it's just the One Piece community just gets so carried away sometimes. He's still Gold D Roger. He's still the one and only king of the pirates. It won't change. Rox, and it's also a testament to how good of a writer Oda is, right? Rox has been around for what, 10 chapters max? I don't even think it's been 10. And he's he's taken the whole community by storm and has become a lot of people's favorite character. But like, dog, let's not forget, we still have the King of the Pirates story left to be told to us. And it will be, and I have no doubt that his legend was, well, I mean, we know it did. But when it's time for Roger's flashback and story, even by the end of this arc, or this flashback itself, we're going to be looking at Roger in a different lens. Anyway, like I said, it's time to get more consistent. Football season is over. I appreciate y'all if you made it this far in the video. I'm locking in. Expect one video a week. I pray I can do that. Let's hope. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. Love y'all. We out. Peace out.